Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. We're standing just days away from the NFL trade deadline. And as always, the league is buzzing with rumors, speculation, and the kind of what-if scenarios that make this time of year feel like a fever dream for football fans. You've got insiders tossing out hypotheticals, Twitter accounts lighting up with sources, and fan bases losing their minds over deals that might never happen. But every now and then, a take drops that makes everyone stop scrolling, tilt their head, and say, wait, they said what? And this week, that honor goes to ESPN's Seth Walder, who threw gasoline on the fire with one of the wildest trade suggestions of the year, maybe of the decade. His proposal? The Las Vegas Raiders should trade for Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is just another lazy, trade your struggling QB idea, you've got to understand the full scope of what Walder's suggesting here. This isn't a normal football trade. It's what you'd call a financial engineering move. It's a cap-space chess play, the kind of thing you'd see in an NBA front office or maybe in a Wall Street spreadsheet, not in the middle of an NFL season with real players, real egos, and real fan bases watching. Walder calls it the Brock Osweiler trade on steroids, referencing one of the weirdest transactions in modern NFL history. That was when the Houston Texans, desperate to get Osweiler's bloated contract off their books, literally paid the Cleveland Browns to take him, shipping him out along with a second-round pick just to free up cap space. It was a move so unprecedented that it felt like a glitch in the system. And now, Walder wants the Dolphins to pull something similar, but with Tua Tagovailoa. His idea is that the Dolphins send Tua and 2 second-round picks, one in 2026 and one in 2027, to the Raiders in exchange for a measly 5th-round pick. The math? Miami gets out from under a massive $70 million commitment to Tua over the next 2 years, and the Raiders, who currently have enormous cap flexibility in 2026 and 2027, would absorb the cost. Basically, they'd be buying those draft picks by taking on the salary. Walder even argues that it could make sense for both sides. The Raiders get extra assets and maybe a quarterback lottery ticket, while the Dolphins can hit reset and reallocate their financial resources. But here's the thing. This isn't just a hot take. This is a full-blown football fever dream. Because while the Osweiler deal was wild, this would be something else entirely. We're not talking about a failed quarterback who flamed out after one good season. We're talking about Tua Tagovailoa, the same Tua who has led the Dolphins to back-to-back playoff appearances, the same Tua who, when healthy and in rhythm, has been one of the most accurate and efficient passers in the league. You can critique his ceiling, you can debate his durability, but calling him a salary dump? That's borderline blasphemous in South Florida right now. Think about it. Tua isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. He's the face of the Miami Dolphins' current identity. Mike McDaniel's entire offensive scheme has been built around maximizing his quick decision-making, his accuracy, and that lightning-fast release. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle's production thrives because of Tua's timing-based rhythm passing. This isn't a quarterback who's dragging down the franchise. This is a quarterback who, when protected, turns the Dolphins' offense into one of the most dangerous in the NFL. And yes, there have been ugly games. The loss to Cleveland this year was a disaster, a reminder of how fragile Miami can look when Tua's timing gets thrown off. But just 1 week later, he bounced back with an efficient, clinical performance against Atlanta that reminded everyone why this team keeps believing in him. So why would anyone even entertain this idea? It comes down to one word: money. The Dolphins' cap sheet is a minefield heading into 2026. They've pushed their chips all in over the last couple of seasons, paying stars like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey, and Terron Armstead, and eventually they'll have to face the bill. Tua's contract, with a cap hit of around $54 million in 2026, looms large, especially if Miami doesn't go deep into the playoffs this year. For some, that's the argument. If you don't believe Tua can elevate the Dolphins beyond the wild card round, maybe it's smarter to reset before the window slams shut. But even then, the logic of paying another team to take him feels absurd. Because here's what Walder's scenario doesn't quite capture. This isn't the same as Osweiler. Osweiler was dead money. A failed experiment. Houston knew he wasn't their guy. Miami, for all the frustration and inconsistency, knows they can win with Tua. They've done it. They've seen him dominate. And more importantly, they've built an entire infrastructure around his strengths. To give that up for the sake of cap relief would be waving a white flag on not just a player, but an entire era of Dolphins football. There's also the human side of it. You think Mike McDaniel, a head coach who's fighting to keep his job, is going to sign off on shipping away his starting quarterback midseason? Absolutely not. Coaches don't think in spreadsheets. They think in wins and losses. McDaniel knows that his best shot at saving his tenure is with Tua under center, not with some journeyman backup or rookie placeholder. Even if the front office whispered in his ear about financial strategy, he'd still be the one facing the locker room afterward. And you can't look that group of players in the eyes, Tyreek, Waddle, Mostert, Armstead, and say, "Hey guys, we just dumped our quarterback for future cap space. Let's go win Sunday." That's not how football works. That's not how culture works. Interestingly, this isn't even the first time this kind of Tua dump idea has been floated. A few weeks back, an anonymous NFL executive mentioned a similar concept in The Athletic, that Miami could, in theory, offload Tua's salary to a team with space if things go south. But even then, it was treated as a hypothetical so extreme that it barely registered beyond message boards. The idea of it becoming a real discussion at ESPN shows just how wild the trade deadline rumor mill has gone. And let's not forget, this franchise already made its commitment. Back in July 2024, the Dolphins extended Tua, signaling to the league and to their fans that he was their guy. They didn't just pick up his fifth-year option, they doubled down with a long-term investment. That's not something you undo in less than a season because of one rough month. Contracts in the NFL aren't just numbers, they're statements of belief. And walking that back now would tell every player in that locker room that no one's safe, that the front office doesn't believe in its own plan. Still, I'll give Walter this. His idea makes for amazing conversation. It's the kind of take that gets talk shows buzzing, podcasts arguing, and fan bases divided. Because on some level, it forces us to ask the big question: what is Tua's true value? Is he a top-tier quarterback who can lead a team deep into the playoffs? Or is he a system-dependent passer whose production hides deeper flaws? If you believe the former, the idea of trading him for cap space is ridiculous. If you believe the latter, maybe you see the logic, even if it's hard to swallow. But here's the truth. Tua Tagovailoa isn't going anywhere. Not this week. Not this season. Not in a trade built like a financial science experiment. The Dolphins might eventually face a tough decision about their future, especially if they plateau again this postseason, but that decision will come in the offseason, not at the deadline. And when it does, it'll be based on football reasons, not accounting tricks. Until then, Miami fans can laugh this one off, maybe shake their heads at ESPN's creativity, and refocus on what actually matters: winning games. Because the only thing that can silence all this noise is performance. If Tua and the Dolphins catch fire in November, nobody will be talking about salary dumps or trade gymnastics. They'll be talking about playoff seeding, redemption, and whether this could finally be the year that Miami breaks through. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world is buzzing tonight. And if you thought the offseason had already been chaotic, brace yourselves. Because the latest drama out of Miami might just redefine what we thought we knew about the Dolphins' locker room. Jalen Waddle, one of the most electrifying wide receivers in the league and the cornerstone of Miami's passing game, is reportedly sending shockwaves through the organization with what insiders are calling a blunt, no-nonsense ultimatum. Sources close to the team suggest that Waddle has made it abundantly clear that if a certain player is named a starter, he might walk away from the Dolphins altogether. Yes, you heard that right. Jalen Waddle, a man whose speed, agility, and sheer ability to change a game in the blink of an eye have made him indispensable, is allegedly telling Miami management and coaching staff that if he starts, this team doesn't need me. It's the kind of statement that instantly sends sports media into a frenzy. And of course, social media is already ablaze with speculation, hot takes, and memes. The implications of Waddle's reported ultimatum are staggering. For a player of his caliber to even entertain the idea of leaving a team where he's been so productive is almost unheard of. Waddle isn't just any wide receiver. He's the kind of player who can take the game over in a single play, who stretches defenses and opens up the field for everyone else. The Dolphins have built around him since his arrival, and his rapport with the quarterback has been the kind of chemistry that turns a good offense into an elite one. So, to think that there's any scenario in which Waddle would step back from that opportunity is enough to make fans sweat. Rumor has it that his statement was more than just casual locker room chatter. It was a clear message delivered directly to team executives and possibly even to the coaching staff, signaling that there's a line he won't cross. And what line could possibly be worth drawing this kind of boundary? That's where the mystery deepens, because sources aren't giving specifics, and the player in question remains unnamed, leaving fans and pundits alike to theorize about who could trigger such a dramatic reaction. Already, insiders are pointing fingers at several potential scenarios. Could it be a rookie wideout being thrust into a starting role prematurely? Perhaps a free agent signing whose presence Waddle views as a threat to his role in the offense? Or maybe there's a more subtle tension brewing between him and the coaching staff. A philosophical disagreement about offensive priorities, usage patterns, or even the direction of the team as a whole. Whatever the case, Waddle's ultimatum suggests that the tension isn't minor. This isn't a casual gripe or a simple request for more targets. This is a statement that implies serious consequences if his conditions aren't met, and in the high-stakes world of the NFL, such ultimatums are incredibly rare. They're the kind of things that shake a locker room to its core and force front offices into difficult decisions that can define a season or even a franchise's trajectory. The timing couldn't be more dramatic. Miami has been under pressure to prove that it can contend, and the offense, while talented, has faced scrutiny for its reliance on a few star players. Waddle's reported stance adds a layer of tension to a situation already teeming with questions about roster composition, draft picks, and potential trades. Imagine being the general manager right now, facing a scenario where one of your top talents essentially hands you an ultimatum: make this player a starter or lose me. And remember, Waddle isn't just any player you can easily replace. His combination of speed, route running, and playmaking ability doesn't come cheap, and certainly not on short notice. The pressure is immense, and it puts Miami in a precarious position. Do they bend to Waddle's demands and risk other players or internal dynamics? Or do they stand firm and risk losing one of the league's most explosive offensive threats? Either option comes with serious consequences, and the ripple effects are already being felt in mock drafts, fantasy football chatter, and even in casual fan debates. Social media reactions have been instantaneous, and they range from shock to outright disbelief. Fans are debating the unnamed player who could possibly provoke such a statement, with speculation running wild across Twitter, Instagram, and fan forums. Some argue that Waddle might be bluffing, a negotiation tactic meant to strengthen his position before the season even begins. Others insist that his credibility is on the line, and given his recent performances and dedication to the team, he wouldn't make such a dramatic statement lightly. Analysts are weighing in, discussing the potential consequences for the Dolphins' season if Waddle were to follow through. Could this impact quarterback dynamics? Could it shift the way offensive coordinators design plays? The possibilities are endless, and every theory seems more dramatic than the last. There's even talk of rival teams quietly watching this drama unfold, knowing that a potential fracture in Miami could present opportunities for trades or signings later on. It's a story with so many moving parts that it's almost impossible to predict how it will settle, but one thing is clear: the Dolphins' locker room is officially a hotbed of tension, and Jalen Waddle is at the center of it. What adds fuel to the fire is Waddle's history as a fiercely competitive player. He's not someone who shies away from confrontation, but he's also someone who values clarity and fairness on the field. If this rumored ultimatum is true, it likely stems from more than just personal preference. It could be a reflection of how he views his role, his value, and his contribution to the team's success. Waddle has never been content with mediocrity, and perhaps this is his way of asserting that he wants to be part of a team that matches his ambitions. Coaches and teammates are now reportedly navigating this delicate balance, trying to address concerns without destabilizing morale. The pressure cooker scenario is perfect fodder for media speculation, and we can expect this story to evolve rapidly as insiders leak more details, interviews surface, and perhaps even Waddle himself makes a public statement that clarifies or escalates the situation. Meanwhile, the Dolphins organization is said to be taking a measured approach. Sources suggest that while Waddle's ultimatum is being taken seriously, internal discussions are ongoing about how to respond without jeopardizing team cohesion. They're reportedly weighing everything from roster adjustments to strategic communication plans, all while maintaining focus on training camp and the upcoming season. This isn't just a matter of sports strategy. It's a matter of psychology, leadership, and timing. A misstep here could have repercussions that last far beyond a single game, potentially influencing fan perception, ticket sales, and even the team's reputation across the league. It's the kind of high-stakes drama that keeps sports talk shows busy for weeks and fans on the edge of their seats, refreshing Twitter for the latest rumor. Speculation about the unnamed player has reached a fever pitch. Some insiders hint it could be a young player whose talent has created tension around playing time. Others speculate it could be a veteran with a controversial reputation, someone whose presence Waddle feels undermines his own role or the team's overall strategy. Every rumor seems plausible, and every theory adds another layer of intrigue. Meanwhile, Waddle's reported statement has created a narrative that extends far beyond the confines of the Dolphins' practice facility. It's a storyline that touches on loyalty, ambition, and the delicate balance between individual excellence and team harmony. And while no official confirmations have emerged, the mere suggestion that a player of Waddle's caliber would issue such a stark ultimatum is enough to dominate headlines and fan discussions alike. The NFL thrives on stories like this, and the Dolphins may be at the center of one of the most compelling narratives of the season before a single game is even played. Adding to the tension is the sense of urgency surrounding the upcoming season. Miami is aiming to compete at the highest level, and the team's success hinges on cohesion, execution, and trust among players. Waddle's apparent ultimatum, therefore, isn't just a headline. It's a litmus test for how the organization handles conflict, communicates with star players, and prioritizes team dynamics. The pressure is immense, and fans are acutely aware that this could be a turning point for the franchise. Will Miami find a way to satisfy Waddle without destabilizing the roster? Will Waddle's demands be met, or will the team stand firm? The answers are unknown, but the intrigue is undeniable. Analysts are already drawing parallels to other high-profile disputes in the league, examining how similar situations were resolved or escalated, and what lessons the Dolphins might learn from those examples. The conversation is sprawling, complex, and utterly captivating. At its core, this rumor reflects the intersection of talent, ambition, and the high stakes of professional football. Jalen Waddle, a player who has electrified fans with his speed and playmaking ability, now finds himself in the middle of a narrative that could reshape the Dolphins' season. His reported ultimatum isn't just about playing time. It's about control, influence, and the respect he believes he deserves as a cornerstone of the team. As speculation continues to swirl, fans, pundits, and insiders alike will be watching closely for any hint of resolution. One thing is certain: the Dolphins are in the spotlight, and the actions taken in the coming weeks could have ramifications that ripple far beyond Miami. Waddle's ultimatum, whether a negotiation tactic or a firm stance, has injected drama, suspense, and a sense of unpredictability into the NFL narrative, proving once again that in professional football, the stories off the field can be just as riveting as the plays on it. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.